Hello and welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show live. We're here talking all things Leeds United. I'm Stephen Browne, and joining me as ever is Mr. Booker. Jason, how are you doing, mate?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. Gearing. I know I'm not repping the new vibes just yet. I know it looks very good, mate. It looks super sharp. I'm a bit jealous. I was considering purchases earlier, and then I saw them. God, what they call now? Brazilian name, the trainers. Have you seen them banded about today? They look smart. But the badge on the tongue kind of put me off. I thought it were a bit overkill. So yeah, we're kind of considering membership today and stuff. So
I messaged you, didn't I, overnight? I was like, I'm looking at the membership thing, thinking, am I going to do it? Because I didn't do it last year. I just didn't bother last year. I just, it's quite pricey. It's pricey, isn't it? It's just not, it's a lot, isn't it? Especially back in the Championship now and stuff. But I don't know. There's that temptation, isn't there?
I want to get to a couple of away games this year. So I've not been for a while, and it's something I kind of want to get on the tick off the sheet this year. So yeah, I probably will.
No, agree. If you're watching along, please smash a like on the video, get your comments in. How are you feeling about all the preparations and everything going on? We've got a lot to get through, actually, with Leeds United. Let's start with transfers, Jason. Let's cover off some of the outgoings that have been confirmed. Obviously, we've got Koch, Llorente, Aronson, all out, all on loans. Give us your explanation. Why is just loaning these players out not such a bad thing? Because obviously this is a stick that's used to beat the club a little bit with, why aren't we getting fees? Why aren't we getting fees for these players? You see it all over Twitter, but you let us know, why is this not such a bad thing?
I think I can totally understand the anxiety to it. It's not normal, is it? And when a player comes in and they underperform, the normal reaction is to sell him at a loss. And I think we have to kind of take a little bit of comfort in it, in that the 49ers are not looking to just make a quick sale in the desperate need for this cash. They don't need it. That's the truth. They don't need it. So, and the facts are, we've also overpaid for some of these players. So the hope is that they go out, have a stonking season, and come back with more value than they've got now. Because the truth is, we paid 30 million or whatever, 25 million for Aronson. We'd have been lucky to get 10 mil, 15 mil. Max, absolute max for the potential to, that he maybe would have. So I think the best kind of case scenario for him is that he goes out to the Bundesliga, looks great doing it, performs in the Champions League, and then he's worth 20-25 million again in 12 months' time. Worst case scenario is not. He comes back and we give him another opportunity. He's still got 3 years on his deal after this season. I think Diego Llorente and Robin Koch are a little bit different. I think Koch was looking for the exit door 12 months ago. Maybe
definitely every day, wasn't he? New club every day, wasn't it? This season break.
Yeah. So to keep him, it just doesn't make sense to what we're then going to want to try and create this season. Who's then going to buy him going into his last year of the deal on the back of him playing not particularly well? Like, we've got a £500,000 loan fee, and his wages paid for the year, which is substantial. You're talking millions.
Yeah.
So when again you start breaking it down, because when transfers happen, if you see a $2 million deal or something like that, quite often what will happen is that the selling club will pay the rest of the contract to the player on leaving.
Yeah.
It's not like the contract just gets ripped up and that's it. Yeah. The player will get the rest of that 12-month contract. So the fact that the Frankfurt are paying that for the next year is saving us £2.5 million. So you have to try and understand the financial kind of business breakdown of it before you start freaking out that we're losing money, because we're not. I'm telling you, the players that are worth substantial money to Leeds United will not go out on loan, i.e. Jack Harrison, Nonto, Adams. If any of them go out on loan, I'd be worried, because they've got genuine value behind them. These players right now, they don't. The stock's on the floor, guys.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely. Good evening to everyone as well, Table Team. Good evening. Thank you. Matt, Paul, and we will get into this a little bit later on. I said this a couple of weeks back. the team is not even in the traps for the starting gun. Yeah, I mean, I do feel the same way, Mark, and we will break that down a little bit as we crack on. Diggler, thanks for your comment, mate. Hey, Browne Jayson and all in the chat. Just doing the washing up and listening. Good stuff. That's me as well. I'm always sticking on a podcast or a YouTube.
I'm the same.
Stop doing the washing up, blimey. Yeah, flipping it. And working from home as well, the amount of plates and cutlery you get through is ridiculous. It really is. Whoever thought the takeover was going to happen in 3 weeks were crazy indeed. Kevin, thanks for your comment, mate. Evening, Browne and Jason. Richo, trying to steal Nonto from us, aren't you? These Evertonians, what is going on? Just quickly on just the outgoings there, Cock, Laurenti and Aronson. Aronson is getting a good kicking, isn't he, in social media and people saying good riddance and all this. I think I must be I feel like I'm one of the few that actually kind of rates him. I think there is a player there. And you've mentioned before, we've done him kind of a disservice how we've used him.
Yeah.
Well, I still think there could be a future. I mean, if we do get promoted and he has a decent season, there could still be a future there, couldn't there?
I seem to repeat myself with this, but people just think that footballers are robots sometimes. And this is a young lad. He's come up. Yeah, he's a professional footballer. Yeah, he's paid a lot of money and all the rest of it. But Leeds United absolutely did him a disservice this season. I'm not sure whether he's good enough or not. I'm similar to you in that I can see something. I don't think he's just a terrible footballer. But no. Leeds United did him a disservice. He should never have been expected to start that many games last season. Is he a 10? Is he a winger? The start of the season, he were playing all right, but then the club went to absolute shit. There's no other way of putting it. The club was all over the place, and he was expected to just kind of come in and deal with it all. He lost the manager that he'd signed for. Then we had three managers after that, including Scoobs. He saw players coming in and going out, and the amount of goals that he'd have had, the amount of assists that he'd have had early on in the season, if Bamford could have stuck some away. And there's a bigger picture in it all. I think I think it's very harsh. Yeah, he's weak and he is a bit soft and he falls down too much and whatnot. But I got no problem with him leaving. I've got no ill feeling towards him. I don't really want him to go away and come back in 12 months. I'll be honest with you on that. I don't. Yeah. I think it's done for me. But I think the feeling with Aronson though is that he probably will come back. I think it's a season away, build his stock back up, build his confidence back up. If we get promoted, I do believe he'd probably be back in the squad. Because we've still got 3 years on him. I still don't think we'd get enough of the value back unless he has an absolute stormer. So, yeah, I'd somewhat agree with you. But I think the other two, I think it's neither here nor there. I think the Laurenti situation especially is a bit crap. Because we'd have been just better letting him go at the end of this season rather than renewing his contract. We protected the value. I understood it at the time by him signing a new contract, but we're then not pushing ourselves for that value. I suppose it's a bit different if we're in the Premier League as opposed to being in the Championship as well.
Yeah, we've made ourselves vulnerable for this kind of thing, haven't we?
Yeah.
And, I was watching Phil Hay on the Square Ball early, and he was saying the club is vulnerable right up until that window closes. Any team could come in, you think, oh, we might keep in Sinisterra, and then, you're going to get that late bidding, and, you're not going to really be able to do anything to stop it.
Remember, though, Brownie, we had fans who said that going down would be a great thing, and it'd give us an opportunity to reset.
Honestly, not these fans on this stream, certainly not.
No.
It's just,
you won't find none of them here. No. You're seeing it. Joking aside, you're now seeing exactly why it's so devastating for all the teams to get relegated, but especially us. It's put us in such a compromised position given the ownership buyout as well. Because if the 49ers take over and win the Premier League and we've got that kind of solid basis, we're not scrabbling around for championship-ready players. Right now, we're in a mess, guys. We're in an absolute mess, really.
We are. And this is certainly how I'm feeling. We've seen news come out tonight. Southampton have signed Ryan Manning, and I mean Southampton. God, they've even used a Leeds fan's tweet to kind of rub salt in the wound. Have you seen that, Jason?
What was that?
The
Manning tweet.
Yeah, the tweet with the Leeds fan going, "Oh, I think he's going to sign." And I mean,
I did see it.
Wept. I mean, that's kind of the hits we're taking. I think we are in a little bit of a mess. I'm growing steadily more and more concerned. I think the way the season finished, I was quite a bit of a downward spiral with it, to be honest. And it was nice to have a break. And obviously, we've got Farker in last week. But yeah, the anxiety levels are starting to grow a bit. I mean, let's just take a look at some of the potential outgoings, some of the rumours we've heard. The big one today, Gnonto to Everton. And I'm thinking, how on earth Everton? I mean, for me, it'd be like double relegation, Gnonto. Do you really want that? I mean, Everton are an absolute basket case. I mean, they're in a terrible position, selling off young prospects, struggling with FFP. I mean, Gnonto to Everton, I'm just gobsmacked, but it seems like I'm hearing it's quite far along.
I think it'd be a really bad move for him, and I'm not just saying that because
sorry, Richard. By the way,
I just think it's a terrible move. I think Dyche will keep a certain amount of stability, but at the moment, Everton are probably more basket case than us. They can only buy when they've sold, by the sound of it, and the likelihood is that Onana will be out of the door before the end of the window. Apparently, Man United sounds like a strong possibility, and I don't see how they carry on getting away with the way that they've been run off the pitch and then playing on the pitch. Like, eventually the trapdoor is going to come for them, and I think Gnonto can probably get a better move in 12 months' time or before the end of this window. I mean, Inter Milan are heavily linked with him. Why he would end up at Everton is just confusing to me. And that's not being disrespectful to Everton. I just think he's got so much more potential. But if Everton are prepared to put up more money than everyone else is, Leeds will accept it if the player wants to go. So,
Fergal, thanks for your comments. Aston Villa are still in for Gnonto. Yeah, I mean, he's a hot prospect, isn't he? And he's got a high ceiling, and it would be a bit of a blow because I know there's been kind of whispers coming out from Philair and other sources saying Gnonto is on that list where Leeds want to keep them, along with Adams. Rutter obviously as well, so it would be a bit of a blow there, to be honest. And this is the other thing about going down as well. It was exciting last year with Gnonto. When you saw him play for Italy and he was giving Kyle Walker a torrid time, you felt that buzz, that pride. It's a Leeds player doing it at that level, and it's another issue, isn't it? We're going down.
It's a tricky one as well because, like, a lot of Leeds fans want to believe that he's worth what he was worth to other teams if we were in the Premier League, and the fact is he's not. And you're also talking about lad because of Gracia and Allardyce as well, been playing for large parts. He's still very unproven in the Premier League. So these fans saying 35, 40 million, they're basing it on the fact that we're prepared to pay 35 million for Jorginho Rutter. Well, that's not the basis of what makes value. It's not. Gnonto's still a risk. Italy, don't have a lot of players in that position that of that kind of age and that kind of pedigree, and that's why he's in that squad. And I'm not saying he's not good enough, but he was in that squad while playing for Zurich as a striker. So I don't. It's difficult because we have this kind of misperception of him. We all know how talented he could be, but there were games where he went missing last season. We can openly say that. Can't rewrite history. And two managers decided that he shouldn't be playing as well. So other clubs will look at that and be like, he's not worth 30 million. He's worth 20. But, so it's always going to feel like we end up getting a little bit put out, I think, because we'll then compare it to Harvey Barnes or whoever else. and it's just not comparable for me. He's had 6 months, really, of sustainable Premier League time, and we've seen games, I reckon probably 10 games where he really stood out.
Yeah.
That's not being critical. It's just the truth. Yeah, so in a terrible team, granted. But then you're asking other clubs to pay 25, 30 million for him. They're just not gonna.
No.
They're not gonna.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. His mate Somerville as well, he's been linked to it, and apparently rumours of him being a bit of a bad egg and bad attitude and all this kind of thing has started to emerge. And
he's always had that around him, though, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has, to be fair. And apparently he's turned Gnonto as well, and Gnonto's kind of following his path a little bit. Even though I remember before it seemed to be the reverse, that Marsh said that Gnonto was actually a good influence on Somerville, but maybe it has flipped.
I won't, out of the old group, there ain't many that I would kind of be super gutted to lose. There's probably less than 3. Yeah. And Gnonto's only purely from a potential point of view. Like, for me, I think it's kind of deep rooted weed that we need to pull out. And if the club Daniel Farke decides that we need to get rid of all of them, I'm not completely against it. Tyler Adams is the only one that I'd be like, we really, really should do everything to keep him, because I think his mentality is perfect. His age is perfect. I think he'd be great in the Championship. Somerville, for me, I can see the potential, but we've disagreed about him before. Like, I can take or leave him. His ability is obviously unquestionable. He's quick and he's direct. I do like him, but I do have a bit of a problem with his attitude. And I trusted Bielsa's kind of take on that as well, in that he had a little bit of an attitude.
Yeah. It's interesting, is it? Because I think there's a big expectation on players these days. You get less of those kind of maverick wildcard players anymore who, you might have to put up with a bit of a bad attitude, but what they deliver on the pitch is worth it. You just don't get that, do you, really, in the modern day game, and there's not that room for it. But how true it is, we don't know. How true it is, we don't know. Other ones, then Mark Rocker, obviously close to going to Betis. And yeah, I do agree with you. It is a little bit meh, isn't it? When these players leaving, I mean, Mark Rocker leaving, I'm like, okay, fine. Even though, I thought, this is the new Olivier Dacour. I really did think that this guy is going to be, the top midfielder for us going forward, but it's not happened. And if he does leave, you think, well, fine,
There's a player in there as well.
Okay.
There's a player in him that there definitely is. I just think terrible recruitment for the system that we were going to play. I remember, and I know it's a little bit of a different example, but I remember around, 2006, something like that. Seth Johnson came and played against Leeds for Derby when he'd gone back there after we'd got relegated and whatnot. And it just sticks out in my head because I've always remembered this performance. Like, I'm talking about a performance from 15 years ago, right? But he literally sat in front of the back four, and his ability at just picking the ball up and spraying the balls out and the little 5-yard passes, he swept everything up, but he had no legs. He absolutely had 0 legs, but the team was built around allowing him to play the way that he needed to play. And I think Mark Rocker's a little bit like that. Like, if you have a system that suits the way that he plays, I think he'll be some player. And the league as well. Like, some players just cannot establish themselves in the Premier League. It's the best league in the world. It's the quickest league in the world for a reason. It's the most intense. It's the most pressure. You're scrutinised, and some players can't deal with that. So,
I mean, it's pretty damning, isn't it, really, that all those signings we made last year, bar Adams, you pretty much look at and go,
all of them, really.
Get out. Do you know what I mean? If you look at Rocker, even if Nonto goes, I know he came in, he's been, quite fit.
Yeah.
If he does, it's not the end of the world. I mean, who else was there that came in? Rasmus, obviously.
Vober,
it's all a bit, it does.
No, you're right.
Shows up the kind of
Weston McKennie.
Weston McKennie. Yeah, I miss his throw-ins though. Those throw-ins. Oh,
sorry, Delap.
Piece. Yeah. So let's have a look at some potential incomings, and this is where my anxiety is increasing now, because we've not seen anybody come into the club. Farke's been there a week. We don't know how much they could get done whilst the takeover's being ratified. Hammond's been there a few weeks now. He's been there a while. Are you getting worried about the lack of signings now? I mean, I don't even think, it doesn't even feel like we're close at the moment. It doesn't even feel like something's about to happen. I mean,
the problem is,
we're playing who tomorrow, and it's just the squad getting on that plane. Me and Jess were talking before they've got a video on the Leeds United Twitter feed of them taking off to Oslo, and you're just watching these players one after the other who, let's be honest, let us down for the last 2 years, and they're the ones who are going to be on that pitch. I mean, it's a worry, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't lie, I am a bit anxious about it. I am starting to get a bit worried. I mean, I think we can't take too much from the silence, because the facts are is we're seeing that this is the way that the 49ers operate. We heard nothing about Hammond, 0. No. And then we heard very little about Daniel Farke until push came to shove, really, and it kind of started leaking out really slowly that they wanted to announce it, but they wanted to wait for the EFL to go through first, and it didn't. So yeah, I think it's a worry. It is a worry, because Leicester and Southampton especially have started now making moves. The rest of the Championship have started making moves. But Daniel Farke's had a week on the pitch with them, a week on the grass. How much Hammond's going to have been able to do in the background, we don't know. How much can the club do in the background? We're not 100% sure. Does it have to go through Rads? Probably. But the fact is we've just put 200,000 out to Aberdeen for Piri. So we must be able to sign off on transfers somehow, because that one's gone through. It don't matter that it's a youth transfer, it's still gone through. So it's tough. It is tough. And I am a little bit worried, because I think, again, if we'd have had all this in order, I think a signing like Ryan Manning would have been realistic. And who knows? We might have spoken to him, Brownie. We might have spoken to him. The fact is, he's gone to Southampton. He's gone to the manager that he played with last season at Swansea.
Yeah.
So is it that unrealistic that he would have picked Southampton over Leeds? Probably not. You know, it's a tough one. It is a tough one. But yeah, I am still concerned by it, because the fact is we're only 3 weeks away from the season starting.
Scary, Matt. It's just wild, right around the corner. It's just right around the corner. You know, we're only playing 3 friendlies, like you mentioned last week as well. And you think, God, how much preparation time is there going to be? I mean, you know, we were talking before. You know, you see Firpo getting on the plane to Oslo, you realise, like, this guy is the only left back still at the club. Like, I mean, there's got to be alarm bells ringing. You know, Manning has now gone to Southampton. You know, he's probably going to really hit the ground running. You know, like you say, working under his manager. You know, I don't know. I'm just starting to. I think obviously you want everything to be in order, and you want this new regime. Everything clicks in. It's a professional outfit. It gets the right business done. Farker, Hammond, you're looking at it going, yeah, brilliant, great stuff. But it's Leeds United, and it just feels like, I don't know, I'm starting to get a bit nervous with this now.
At the same time, though, Brandon, we have to get the recruitment right, don't we? We don't just want to see signings for the sake of seeing signings. So the facts are, we can't do anything about it, and we've got to hope that these guys have got the right tunes going on in the background to get us ready for the start of the season. I think a lot of this depends on who stays, because I think there is an avenue where we start the season with a few of these players that we didn't expect to. And how good are the players that we're keeping around the squad that we maybe deemed previously weren't good enough? I'm talking, and I'm going to say this quietly, Dan James, Helder Costa. Okay, no, but genuinely, we can all have his opinions on him, but the fact is Daniel Farker might be saying, you know what, Helder Costa is 27. He's done it in Championship 3 times before. How much can we get from this guy? He's still on our books. Does he want to be here? Is he going to be happy coming back? There's all these kind of conversations going on, and then what do you do with them if they don't want to stay? You know, can we get them back out again? So, you know, there is a lot of unanswered questions. Then you look at the youth in the squad as well. I love Jeremiah Mullen. Like, he's quality, by the way. He's a really, really good player. I've watched a lot of him. Is he good enough to be a 4th choice centre-back in this Leeds squad? He will only know that after seeing him in some competitive action. Well, you know what? He's actually good enough. We don't need another centre-back now. We can rely on Charlie. We can rely on Verba. We can rely on Liam. We can rely on Jeremiah. Yeah, so all these questions are perhaps going on, and it might just be a case of Daniel Farker needing a little bit more time to see what some of these players have got before they say, yes, go through with that transfer. No, you know what? Scrap that one. We had it boxed off. It was ready, but no, we're not going ahead with it anymore. Other players, I mean, I'm not saying that we should pin his hopes on players like this, but Jamie Shackleton played 36 games in the Championship last season. What part can he play this season? I don't think he's going to be anywhere near the starting 11, but could we rely on Jamie Shackleton to thicken out the squad? Well, maybe, yes. So then that changes the dynamic somewhere else in his transfer plans. So there's so many unanswered questions. And as fans, you just sat there left with anxiety, aren't you? That's the problem. I think tomorrow will show us a lot, because we're going to see. I think if you see the likes of Firpo, Bamford in the starting 11 tomorrow, bear in mind we've only got 3 games. We've only got 3 friendlies. So these friendlies are massive for the players that are going to be playing in 3 weeks' time. I think if you see them start, I think we've got a problem. That's what I think.
Well, I think they're the only ones that can start. I mean, there's nobody else there, is there really? I mean, Firpo, I mean, Who else is going to play that position at the?
I could see Struijk starting there tomorrow.
Yeah.
I think Struijk will start. I think Cooper will start. I think Mullen will start. And I think Drama will start. I think that'll be the back four. Yelder won't play a part, I don't think, because he's just come back from international. I wouldn't imagine. He only came back yesterday, I think. And I think you'll see Ayling maybe play right centre back to start with in pre-season. I don't know, we hate that, but
scary.
I think that'll be the right side of defence will be shared between him and Mullen until Cresswell's back. I mean, Cresswell don't come back until a week before the season starts. Yeah, how nuts is that? Because of the under-21s.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, there's just, the lack of time that Farke's going to have with the players. And then if you bring in signings as well to get them integrated, it's, I don't know. I'm not liking it, to be honest.
I am shocked. I am shocked to see nobody in by this trip tomorrow. I am.
Yeah.
I said to you last week when Farke got announced, I thought we'd have seen 1 or 2 in this week.
Yeah. That's bad. For me, that's come on. Do you know what I mean? You've got to start, like you say, we've got 3 pre-season games. So no new signings for this one. The next one, 22nd, I think, of July it is, against Monaco. And it I don't know, is this going to be the story of the summer where you're just waiting for announcements and it just takes forever for anything to come through? I mean, it's interesting with just the promotional stuff today. With the young guys, JB and Archie Gray who were modelling it, and you can make some jokes, but there's no senior players there to do it. There's no shiny new signings to do it, and you go fine, but we love the youth at Leeds. We know that we're a club that promotes youth. We've always had a great academy. Some of our best teams down the years have always had homegrown talent in them. Leeds fans love a local lad, blah blah blah, but is it not a recipe for disaster if we end up with, 5, 6, 7 of these academy lads in that first team, going forward? Because I feel like there's a bit of a narrative building with the club and just whispers I've heard, and this thing of Farke loves academy players. And I'm just starting to think, oh my God, is it going to be JB and Gray in midfield at this rate?
I definitely think there's some intention going on. Mate. I think there's some intention.
I love it, by the way. I want to be clear. Yeah. I absolutely hope that those two get their opportunities because I think they're fantastic talents. I really do.
Yeah.
But you're worried if that's kind of it, and then suddenly we re-sign Forshaw or something just to pad it out. I mean,
again,
there's no links with midfielders. I haven't heard one link with a central midfielder.
Like,
I missed something there. What is going on?
Brownie, I just can't imagine for a second that the 49ers would entrust immediate return for promotion on all kids. I just don't believe it. Like, we have no idea if most of these are going to even be good enough at championship level.
No.
We have got literally no idea. Apart from Charlie Cresswell, you literally for all we know, and we can think and we can take what we want from 23s, but under 23s second division is nowhere near the championship. I'm telling you guys, nowhere near. Lewis Bay had an all right season in League One last season. Would you expect him to be able to step up to the top of the championship? Like from Oxford to go and then play, put it this way, would you expect Leicester to have signed him on the back of his season at Oxford last season?
No.
The answer would be no. Yeah. No. You wouldn't, how much confidence would you have in JB and Gray starting the season up there? Joseph, Perkins, these players have got potential, but they need to be surrounded by some quality.
Well, starting in your midfield, you're playing Cardiff, starting in midfield, central midfield, Harry Winks or Lewis Bate, or Harry Winks or JB, or Harry Winks or Archie Gray? Who would you feel most comfortable with starting?
Harry Winks, you would, and I don't really like him.
Leicester have gone and done it, and I agree with you. I think Harry Winks, but Leicester have gone and done it. They've gone and done it. They've gone and signed these players in Leeds. It's like, what are we doing? We're falling behind. I think we're falling behind here. I really do.
This is the balance, though. I mean, Kevin's just put there. He's glad that we're not panic buying. Last season we were all excited because we made this signing the day after we stayed up of Brendan Aronson, and look at how that went. So there is the devil's advocate for this. There is the flip side to it. I just think it's finding that balance. Like, I think we've all trying to be patient with what's going on, but it's unsettling, it's unnerving. Like, we all want the squad to resemble some sort of kind of clarity before the start of the season. The fact is, Daniel Farke's going to have no time with the squad if we're not signing the players ahead of the season. Like, this is why I said last week when we spoke that I think it'll be a slow start to the season. I think
100%.
It's going to be impossible not to be.
Absolutely, yeah. I think August, September will be very difficult. I really do. I think we're lucky that we've got a gentle start. You know, we've got a nice gentle start. And if you don't do great during that run, and then you get the harder games, that could prove really damaging. And there's just so much that has to come together in such a short time.
Disabled teams just put their back. They should have cancelled this preseason as soon as we got relegated. The reason that we're in this situation is because we didn't know what division we were going to be in. So we had the Tour of America, didn't we? And we got replaced by Fulham. And we didn't know what division we were going to be in. And that's why this has happened. We announced the Scum pre-season friendly because of the kind of travel that we had to kind of arrange around that. But the reason that we've ended up in this position is because of the relegation and the fact then that nobody thought to kind of plan a contingency plan. The fact that we've only got 3 pre-season games is really worrying. Really, really worrying for me. The pre-season friendly that we've got at York as well, we always play that friendly, and we usually take a second 11. We don't usually play the first 11. So are you telling me that the first 11 are only going to have 2 pre-season games? Mate, I mean, I'm honestly, Farke's going to have to destroy them on the training pitch. Absolutely nail them.
Yeah, absolutely. Why don't Leeds go out and get Joe Pirro? Why don't they just go out, pay big money for a proven championship goal scorer and just get it done?
The problem is because we don't know what's going on.
Get it done?
We might be. Yeah, but we don't know, do we? I mean, we're saying, why don't they just do that? They might be just doing that. And that would be
gobsmacked if they sign
I would too.
I would be absolutely gobsmacked.
I would too, and it's same as Gregory's just mentioned about Gustavo Hamer. I think they're both in a similar kind of. I mean, for me, Gustavo Hamer is a Premier League player because midfielders can kind of get away with having an adjustment. I think Premier League teams would take a big risk with Pirro. You see it where they don't quite do it in the Premier League after a couple of decent seasons in the Championship or whatever. I can understand how he would maybe the next evolution be a team that would be expecting automatic promotion in the Championship. See if you can do it there and go up with them. I can imagine Hamer for the price that's been quoted getting snapped up by a Premier League team. I know Fulham have been linked this week.
Yeah, someone else has come sniffing.
But yeah, going back to your point. I know.
But killers, like, get the cream of the crop and get it done.
Let's hope that they are, mate. The problem is the conversation kind of stops a little bit dead because we don't know that they're not. When we've got to the end of the window, we can say they have or they haven't. But right now, I'm still hopeful. I'm clinging on to the hopes that they're doing it the right way. They got the right man at the head, the most important man. We all agreed that he was the best out of the 3 of the relegated teams. Yeah. I would have been disappointed personally if we were sat here now with Conor Cody and Harry Winks. Personally, I would, because I think we can do better in the Championship for £20 million worth of investment. So I have to kind of stay in hope that we can get the recruitment right. Nick Hammond knows what he's doing. I'm hearing this crazy link with regards to the Brentford director, which I think is
Lee Dykes.
Lee Dykes, that's it.
Lee Dykes,
That'd be nuts, by the way. If we manage to pull that off, I will believe that when I see it. That'd be
a top move, that, wouldn't it? Everything that he's instigated and been involved with at Brentford, it'd be a phenomenal move, wouldn't it? You hope that things are happening behind the scenes a little bit. You hope that things are cooking, but I don't know. I don't trust Leeds. I just don't trust this football club. I think
that's not the board.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, this is it. I know it's anyone else, you'd think, oh, it's, give them time and everything. But I just think with Leeds, it's just so tricky. A couple of other links, Jason, that we've seen, and Charlie Taylor at left back.
It's going to stoke some convo, innit?
Yeah.
Just before we skip on to Charlie Taylor, Fergal mentioned about Jason Knight to Bristol. I'd not seen that. That's a really, really good signing. Really, really smart signing. That I like him. I like him a lot. So yeah, Bristol, Charlie.
Bristol are getting busy.
Oh, Bristol City, man. I hate Bristol City.
No good.
Go on. You hit me. Charlie. You hit me with the Charlie Taylor thoughts first off. Let me fire
Charlie
Taylor.
Charlie Taylor. He was part of that crop, wasn't he? We had a homegrown crop, and he's clearly good enough for this level for Championship. Very solid indeed. Obviously, what happened, the refusal to play Gary Monk and all this kind of situation. I don't know. Do you know what? If he came back and did the job, fine. Do you know what I mean? I really think that. I think, look, he was a young kid at the time. I'm not too worked up for that. Whether it's the right move or not, I'm not sure. I think we're so desperate for left backs. Yeah, it's an interesting one. But yeah,
from a playing perspective, I would rather have Charlie Taylor over Jimmy Fairport any day of the week.
Oh, yeah.
And twice on Sundays, right?
Yeah.
With regards to what happened, it's a long time ago. There's a lot of water under the bridge. I think he would be quickly forgiven if he came back and played well. Yeah. Because football fans are fickle. We're all quite fickle. I think what he did was obviously wrong, but I believe that he was badly advised. He's come out and said as much, hasn't he? He has actually openly kind of spoken about this, and he did refuse to play that last game. Agents can be pushy. He had Premier League money on the table. He also went on to play for 5-6 years in the Premier League. He probably did make the right call amongst others that did the same, that had decent ability to play Premier League football towards a bottom end. Johnny Howson, Snodgrass, Sam Byram. There was a whole kettle of them. Lewis Cook, Fabian Delph obviously went on to a lot more, but there were a batch of them that all came through that went on to have good or semi decent Premier League careers. And for all Charlie Taylor knew when he was 23, Leeds had never got there. And he'd have had to wait until he was 29 until he did. I've not got a problem with it. I think the way that it all kind of fell out at the end was a little bit meh. However, I will then spin this 180. Is he really what we want as the answer to left back? Is he still good enough? Has he really got the legs? Burnley didn't play him at left back last season. They played him at centre back, which I didn't even realise he could really do. But he played the left side of a back three, and he played quite well from what I hear. So I don't know if it's an option to go into the back line. Potentially can play centre back sometimes. Can potentially play left back sometimes. But we sign another left back as well. I'll be all right with that. But I won't want to put all my eggs in the basket of Charlie Taylor personally.
No, Eddie White. Where's Eddie White these days? Up in Scotland.
He's still he's still only about 33, 32, 33.
Do you know what? When he first broke through, I thought, oh my God, we've got Messi.
Do you remember that goal he scored against Everton in FA Cup? What a goal that was. Yeah, some player
could have
been
rapid, just ridiculous without
injury prone.
Dude, I loved him. Let's talk some of these videos. We've seen players returning to training. We've had a bit of propaganda from the club. Bamford featured heavily, but he's been linked away from the club. Bamford, would it be? I mean, for me, I think it'd be healthy if he went. I think we just need to open that space up. Even if it's Joseph Rutter, a new player coming in, let's just freshen that position up, do you think?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I think Cooper and Ayling are the only two from the old guard that I can understand keeping around and that I would be quite happy to keep around. They both look quite happy. They look like they're in for it. The front of the queues. And I know a lot can be made of that. And like the old States guard, they've got to show the rest how it's done and all the rest of it. Yeah. Ayling looks happy as Larry getting on the plane. It looks like they've probably had a refresh this summer. And you can't just get rid of everybody. You just can't. But I think Bamford, for me, there's too much water under the bridge with him. Like, I've really fallen out with him, as you know. Like, I don't like a lot of what I think he's about. I still think he shied away from putting the club first on a number of occasions over the last 2 seasons, and I just don't like it. I think his attitude stinks, towards other players, and looking to dig other people out rather than take responsibility himself. For me, if there's any way that we can kind of remove Bamford from the equation, and even if that meant that we then went with, let's say, Adjo Perot, and number 2 to him was Joseph and Perkins, I'm more than happy with that personally.
Yeah, no, I think his time is done, and I'd be more than happy to see the back of him, to be honest. Some of the other players returning, we mentioned him briefly before. Helder Costa coming out. I mean, it was just kind of
wild, isn't it?
Shocking to see him back. You're like, wow, he's been away for 2 years. Like
you've gone in a time machine.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he's our good luck charm. Maybe we need the guy around for us to.
I don't mind him. I don't mind him, mate. I think he gets so much unfair stick. I think
because he didn't live up to the expectations.
Yeah, we signed him for 15 million quid in the Championship. I get it. If we'd have signed him as a free transfer, he'd have gone about his business afterwards, and everybody would be like, "Yeah, we're an all right Championship player." Held the cost, they were okay. Like he played, I think he played like 43 of the 46 games in the promotion season. Like, Bielsa's no mug. Like, he still chose to pick him week in, week out. And he scored some important goals, and he assisted some important goals as well. And then he was only replaced by the best player I've seen at Leeds United in Rafinha. Yeah. Like, that's the only reason he came out of the team, was because we signed Rafinha, and Rafinha was so good. So, yeah, I just don't get this hate. But I think you're right. I think it's attached to the 15 million quid. I get it. And, he ripped it up so much at Wolves at the Premier League, the Championship season before when he was there, and then didn't really do it in the Premier League because I think he had a bad injury and he was never really the same after for Wolves. But, yeah, if Helder Costa came back in and we had the Helder Costa of the second season, I'd be more than all right with that.
Yeah, that'd be decent, wouldn't it? That could work. Fergal, Dan James could be good and played in the right position. Another one who's come back there as well. Dan James, it'd be interesting.
I agree.
What tune we get out of him. Some of the others then, Verba. I mean, Verba's buzzing. Like, he looks absolutely...
Looks ready for it, doesn't he?
Be there, doesn't he? He looks absolutely, really excited to be there, really positive, which is nice to see. Rasmus has come back into it as well.
Bouncing through the door, wasn't he, Rasmus?
Yeah, because he was close to that Roma move, wasn't he, apparently? And then it seems to have gone a bit quiet. I think Mourinho rumoured to have got a bit fed up with how long it's taken.
I think he'll move on. Rasmus. I think Rasmus will still move on. I know we're seeing some of these players come back through the door, but I won't take it as gospel. I think Verba will end up being our captain this season. I think he'll be the starting centre-back. I do, and I think he'll be the captain. I don't think Adams will stay. That's the reason I say that, because I think if they could keep Adams, I think they'd probably throw the band at him as well. But yeah, my feeling on that.
It's just got to stay injury free, hasn't he, Verba? Got to keep him fit because he's obviously a much different player when he's only half fit. Some of the players yet to return, then we've not seen Rodrigo. Obviously, he's strange one with Rodrigo. It sounds like he's close to leaving, but not quite. And then he gets linked with another team. He's been kind of linked around half of Europe. I mean, I know some people are thinking, God, it'd been fantastic if we'd have kept Rodrigo in the Championship. I'm a little bit like, I don't know. I don't know. I just think it's different league. It's not a Rodrigo League Championship.
No,
it's not Rodrigo League.
I think last season rewrote history a little bit with him as well, didn't it? Like,
100%.
He definitely wasn't the player that we saw.
He has my good favour.
Yeah,
if he left now, I'd have good feelings about Rodrigo.
He broke a foot. He broke a foot and did a shoulder last year, and he still ended up with 15 goals in a team that finished second bottom. Like, he had a hell of a season.
Amazing.
And without him, would have been absolutely dead and buried. So yeah, 100%. He and like even in a Bielsa setup, I think he was kind of done out a little bit. It was played out of position constantly. We played centre midfield, man, for 50% of the games under Bielsa. It's wild. Yeah. So for me, he absolutely will get. There's no way that Rodrigo starts the season here. He's not even one that enters into my mind that he'll still be here. Too much money that he's on. Like, he's got too much pedigree to be kept around in the Championship. Somebody's going to want to snap him up. And Leeds, I think, I'll be glad to see the wages off the books. So yeah, no, I can't see him going. Who else did you mention that we've not seen?
We've not seen Meslier yet. Meslier.
I don't think Meslier will be back either.
I've heard though, I don't think there's a lot of clubs banging on the door for him though, is there?
Well, no, but the problem is we're in that kind of catch-22 with him now, where he's been so poor that his value has dropped so much that he's kind of unsellable for an amount that makes sense. Like, well, can you see many teams coming in with even 10 million for him? I think it's a stretch. So then what's the point in selling him? Because you've got a potential France number 1 there, so you might as well keep him. Again, he could enter the realm of the loan conversation again. He genuinely could. Gets loaned to Ligue 1, builds himself up at a Rennes or Lens or something like that, and then we see him get sold. I could definitely see that happening, because I can't see him playing for us next season. I just cannot.
No. I can't believe how much it's turned for Meslier. When I think 2 years ago, he was Iceman. He was the best young keeper in the Premier League. He was knocking on the door for France number 1. His values, I remember ridiculous figures floating about for Meslier when it comes, Chelsea linked with him, Tottenham, to replace Hugo Lloris. And, we loved him. We absolutely loved Meslier. We loved everything about him, and then you fast forward 2 years and really, I can't find a single fan that wants to keep him or thinks he's got a future at the club. I mean, could it turn around for him? Could it turn around? But I just
2 years ago, 2 years ago, you'd have easily seen Meslier leave for 30 to 40 million.
You would,
I could have easily. I thought there were a time where we're going to go to Scum and replace De Gea.
Yeah.
Like, I genuinely could see that, like, them taking another project on to replace De Gea, who came through and had a similar kind of style as Meslier. But the problem now with Meslier is he's openly said that he won't go and sit somewhere as a number 2. So he's kind of boxing, because there is clubs out there that would put 15, 20 million into a project for a keeper to come and sit on the bench. Take Newcastle as an example. Nick Pope's 32. Yeah. I could imagine them putting 20 million down for Meslier and saying, right, you can come and be number 2, learn from Pope for 2 years, and in that time you can develop into our number 1. But he's said, nah, I'm not doing that. I'm too good for that.
Yeah, he's played 3.5 seasons of first team football.
I don't want him, mate. I'll be honest with you, I don't have the confidence that he'll kind of pick himself back up and rebuild. I think he is not in the same way as Bamford, because I think obviously Bamford's more experienced, but I think he's ended up with a bit of a chip on his shoulder, a little bit arrogant. And I just don't like it. No, so for me, I'd be more than happy to see him moved on in any way. And it's sad to say that, because, like you said, a couple of years ago, completely the opposite. So
it was, wasn't it? I mean, just phenomenal how it's changed. What do you think about some of the younger ones on the fringes of the squad? Leo Hjelde. I mean, Christoph Klaassen. I mean, he was pictured in the promotional pictures, wasn't he? A little bit. Christoph coming up, and you're thinking, "Wow, oh my God, could he be edging closer to that first team spot?" I mean, I tell you what, I read far too much into what the club posts on social media, but sometimes you think, are they trying to get a message across here? Are they trying to pump things up?
Maybe. I mean, Van Hovel has played predominantly for the 23s as their number 1 for the last 6 months or so since he came back. He had a car accident, I think, and he ended up having a bad injury. So he might play out tomorrow. I think it's a strange one for some of them bit part players, because we don't know how good they are. Hjelde only played 16 times for Rotherham last season. So again, if he's as a backup to our left back that is, championship ready and centre back, then I'm okay with that. But I would not be confident going into the start of the season with Hjelde starting at left back, personally. I think there's so many throughout the team that I'd feel like that about, especially the young lads. I think Creswell deserves the risk attached to playing kids. Drama is an obviously no-brainer. But I would say the same for Joffrey. I'd say the same for Greenwood, JB, Gray. Like, I think they all go into a bucket where they've got bags of potential, and we hope that they come through and smash it. But we can't bank as promotion hopes on them. Not for me. Not for me.
Where's your head at with what the aim should be? Because you said obviously previously top 6 would be considered a success for you. For me, I think if we don't get promoted, it's a bit of a failure. I think when you look at it, you go, okay, well, it normally takes 2 years, really, doesn't it, to get it together? And perhaps top 6 wouldn't be too bad, but I don't know. I just feel this is a problem. I feel like there's such pressure on us to at least fight for promotion this year that I just think, I don't know if we're going to be able to hack this. I really don't. And I'm talking about fans, even, the anxiety in the crowd watching them. I think it's a recipe for an absolute pressure cooker.
I think you always look at the 3 teams that come down and expect them to be the strongest to go back up.
Yeah.
That's reflected in the bookies odds. But I think when you actually look at the situation, given the changeover in ownership, given the management situation that we had at the end of last season going into this season, the player turnover, the fact that we were never built for the championship, we're not a yo-yo side, West Brom, Norwich, Sheffield United, all these teams that come up and down, they keep a core of the same players that are capable of doing that. And the players that they then buy when they get promoted are happy playing at the championship. If they go back down, they'll stay for a year. We don't have any of that. Our best players are all Europe, we want to play in Europe or, I'm not talking about Champions League, so I'm talking about on the continent, so in Spain or in the Bundesliga or whatever, or they want to play in the Premier League. They're not prepared to stay with us going down. So I think it's an extremely difficult season for us. And I think it would be a success. I'm not saying that this is what we should want, given the fact that we've just come down, but it would be a success given the position that we're in right now if we finish top 6. I think that'd be a massive result. Massive.
And you can still invest a lot with a second year parachute payments as well, can't you? Still got a good taste of that as well.
And I really don't want to see us in the championship again next season, but I think we have to be realistic. And if we start building some solid foundations under Farker and the 49ers to then get promoted in the second season, I think we have to be somewhat content with that, because the turnover and the position that we're in right now is a mess. It really, really is. We have no idea if 80% of our squad's going to even be good enough for the championship. Yeah,
scary.
That is scary. It is.
Yeah, that's absolutely spot on. Swansea have sealed the signing of Blackpool striker Jerry Yates. So would that point
Who was that,
to
sorry?
Pirro? Swansea Blackpool striker.
Yeah, Blackpool. I heard that earlier today, actually. Yeah.
So Pirro, is he kind of getting closer to the exit door with that?
He's definitely going to leave. It's just there's a case of where he goes. But again, when you're a prospective player that's coming into Leeds right now, you're looking at the situation, you're seeing all these videos of all these kids as the only players that are at the club, and you're not hearing anything coming out. It takes a big, sell from Nick Hammond to kind of say, come to Leeds United, this is what we're building. You can't blame some of these players for saying, now I'll go to Leicester, or I'll go to Luton, or I'll go to Burnley. You can't blame them. You can't blame them. They're not Leeds fans.
No, exactly. No, this is the worrying thing, isn't it? Tomorrow's match then, Man United, first friendly of the season. I mean, God almighty. I mean, to play them as your first friendly when you've got not even a half-baked team, God knows what team it's going to be, and the squad being, it's just the timing of it and who we're facing. It's just not good, is it, Jason? What can you even read into it? If you get smashed to pieces, if it's a draw, how much can you actually read into this?
I just hope it's walking football, mate. I just hope that, they treat it like a friendly, and I hope our boys obviously run through brick walls and kind of get the fitness attached to it. I don't think we'll see anything really in terms of style tomorrow, the Farker style. I just don't think that we'll do that. I think we'll probably see 3 squads worth of players in terms of changeovers. I think we'll have 30 minutes, and you'll see different players play different positions, and Farker will use it as an opportunity to kind of see players in different places. I can imagine, Joffrey starting, as 10 and then playing a bit at right wing, and I can imagine Verba playing a bit at left back and then a bit at centre back, that kind of thing. So yeah, that's what I think. I think it'll be a lot of chopping and changing, and hopefully we take something out of the game. I don't like friendlies against your big rivals personally. I didn't like it when we played them before. I don't like it.
It's rubbish, isn't it?
But it is what it is. It's an opportunity for the Scandinavians to see the team in it. That's what we've got a big fan base over there, so I respect that. I get it, but I don't really like it personally.
No. Diggler TC, there's no friendlies against Man United. Yes, exactly. Yeah, big day ahead anyway. It's the first game of the new season, I suppose, in a sense. The friendly.
I'm still looking forward to seeing it.
I'm just how are you doing it, by the way? Are you doing the LUTV?
Yeah, $7.99. Cool, innit?
What's the kickoff? Is it 3 o'clock or something? Or 4 o'clock or something?
Oh, is it? I thought it was in the evening.
No, I think.
Oh no! Or maybe not. Then.
It's paid for it.
No, I haven't paid for it yet, but I have got to go out tomorrow afternoon for work.
Tomorrow 4 o'clock.
Is it?
Yeah, tomorrow 4 o'clock. Yeah.
Oh well, that's scuppered then. No, I won't be watching it,
isn't it? Yeah.
For some reason I thought it was on like 7 o'clock or something. So yeah, I probably won't be watching it then because I have got to go out tomorrow afternoon. So yeah, I'll pick up on the highlights when I get in, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm not going to go out of my way to change arrangements to watch it because at the end of the day, it is only a preseason friendly against them, and the squad that we've got will probably be very different to the squad that we'll start the season with. But it's always good to watch your team in it. I've missed the football, and it'll be nice to see him back out there again. But yeah,
no, absolutely.
The thing is, Adam, right? If it was on round the corner, I'd pay £35 for it. So $7.99 to watch it. If you've got it, buy it. If you don't.
By the way, everyone in the chat, what are you doing about watching games this season? Obviously, it's season ticket to get to home games. It's an absolute nightmare. What is everyone doing? Let us know. How are you getting on this?
Is that true? That it's free on the Scum
channel? On their channel.
Oh, if that's the case.
Didn't that happen last year with something where we were charging a fortune through LUTV, and then one of the teams we were playing were putting it for free on there? Like,
I'll just watch it.
I'm sure that happened.
YouTube then or something.
I'm sure that happened. Yeah, I'm sure that happened. I was like, bloody hell, that's something, isn't it? What do you want to see happen over the next few days, Jason? What's got to happen in your mind?
I just hope that when we start seeing some movement, that it'll be a bit like the Bath plug coming out, and we start seeing a lot of different action. But I thought that about Daniel Farke coming in. I did. I've been kind of proved wrong. I mean, how long's Farke been in now? A week?
It's a week, isn't it? Yeah, a week.
Yeah, I thought we'd have seen something by now in terms of incomings, but I cannot believe it isn't going on in the background. I can't. And, I mean, I don't know because I've not really looked intently on what the rest of the Championship are doing. So you hear about the Leicester and Southampton news, but I don't think there's been that much action throughout the rest of the league either. It isn't like teams are signing 3, 4, 5, 6 players. And like I said earlier, Cody and Winks, I know they're doing something, but I don't want them to. So
yeah,
the first real deal that's gone through that I've kind of thought we've really missed out there is the Ryan Manning sale. But again, was it realistic with Russell Martin going there? It just makes perfect sense for him to go and play his football there. So I'm hopeful that before the end of the week we see something, even if it's just to kind of appease the fans. Like
again. Do you remember when we were waiting for the manager and we were messaging, going, "What is going on?" And every day it's like, just getting put in the blender. Just thinking, "Come on, do something."
I want to start seeing some moves on some of these other players leaving as well.
Yeah,
and I know that we've got to kind of just be patient with it because some of these teams are not going to come in for these as first choice. But Bamford, Harrison, I saw the videos today of Harrison. He's back in the building. He was in full training gear as opposed to like a shirt. So it tells me that he's probably either carrying an injury or out the door. He was definitely out around the building, but he definitely wasn't running, jumping, that kind of thing.
Did you see Drama? I don't know if
I didn't see Drama in the one today, no.
No.
But I saw Harrison. There were two players Harrison and another that I thought, I didn't think we'd see them again, and we did. I can't remember who it was now.
No, I think Adam makes a good point here about it's not easy to move on underperforming big earners. I mean, yeah,
that's why we're in this.
If I was another team, if I'm another team, if I'm a director of football for another team, Junior Firpo,
you wouldn't touch him.
You would not do a loan. You would not pay a penny.
No.
Bamford, even. I mean, who in the right mind would sign Bamford? You know, it's just maybe a squad player like you mentioned before, maybe a lower Premier League squad player or something like that. But gosh, you just wouldn't, would you?
You wouldn't scout Firpo for the Championship. He's that bad. He's so poor. Diggler's just said there about buying players while the takeover hasn't happened. The thing is, we've put 200,000 down for Pirri from Aberdeen, so it's just not the case. They're clearly happening. I think Angus either has the okay to sign the checks off, or we're going to Rads in the meantime, which is probably the most realistic, most likely thing that's happening. But yeah, it's just not the case because we've already bought somebody this window.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's interesting. Is it all a little bit too quiet for you, just generally in terms of the communication for the club? I know we got the training videos and stuff, but it's like I suppose when the takeover gets ratified, we'll get I hope we get a press conference. I hope we get some kind of indication. It's like when I went to buy the shirt at the club shop this morning, and there's like no fanfare at all. It was just so, there's still robbing cock on the side of the stadium, and there's no kind of.
We'll only know in time, will we, Brownie? We'll only know in time whether it's right or not. Like, I think over the years we've kind of become used to the Rad sort of way of everything being out in the open, information being fed to, his good mate constantly. Where we're getting none now, nothing gets out. And I think we will only know that how many deals, and we know some of them, but how many deals in total have we missed out on because of Rads and Orta and their big mouths? So, if we get to the end of the window and we've got 80% of the targets that we kind of set out for because they've done it under the radar, then you know what? I can live with it. But right now, as a fan, it's difficult. I get it. I feel it too.
Well, you've just reminded me, actually. It's a tweet that I saw the other day, and it was kind of almost like the what if 11.
I saw it.
Vardiol. I mean, there's a Fabrizio Romano tweet where he's like, Leeds are closing in, and this should happen. And Vardiol, and now he's going for 100 million. Is an unbelievable defender.
I remember.
Paul in midfield, and
I tell you, the one that the one of the ones that really we missed out was the Kivinishvili from Napoli. Because that were pretty much done, by the way. Like, that was so close with it. And it was for like 2 million. It was for like 2 million. It was like before anybody had even heard of him. So yeah.
That is pain. That is that's the stinger, isn't it? But come on, Leeds, we need some action, get something done soon.
I just want to see Middlesbrough sign.
Why have Middlesbrough signed someone? Or?
No. The Stockton lad there said that they've signed 7 players. I just kind of want to make a point on whether let's have a look. Okay, I just want to see who they are, because I literally haven't seen a single Middlesbrough signing. So they've signed Tom Glover from Melbourne City on a free transfer. We'd have all lost the shit if we'd have signed him, because nobody had ever heard of him. And goalkeeper, 25-year-old. Alex Gilbert from Brentford B. Morgan Rogers is a good signing. I'm guessing, is that confirmed? Because I'm sure we'd have heard of that. It's got a question mark next to it. Seny Dieng from QPR, not a bad signing. I think he'll probably be their number 1. Rav van der Berg from Zwolle, 18-year-old, never heard of him. Sam Silvera from Central Coast, again from the A-League, never heard of him. And Matthew Hott from Hibs on... has he gone back? He's come back to Middlesbrough. So that's not 7 signings. That's 6. And 2 of them are from the A-League. 1 of them from Brentford B.
Yeah, there's a T-side live article and it's saying Middlesbrough must back up positive early transfer business with first-team talent. So it's clearly kind of... It's not...
One of them's a backup keeper and one of them's an 18-year-old from... the Eredivisie. So what I'm trying to say is we need some context. Yeah. So like you see that, and as a fan, you think, oh my God, one of his rivals signed 7 players, but they've not. You know what I mean? Like we'd be losing his mind if I mean, Morgan Rogers is a good signing. Yeah. He's a really good signing. He's a good player from Man City. Man City's 21s are literally getting raided for loans this summer. They're just all going
unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah,
just solving all their FFP problems, just started selling academy players. It's just, I mean, it's just ridiculous, isn't it? We need to get in there. Come on, get some of these signed, for goodness sake. Bloody hell, get active, Leeds.
I know.
Anything else we need to cover, Jason, before we depart?
I can't remember. I put a list here. I think you covered them all, didn't we?
So, the internationals, returning internationals, transfers, the friendlies. We're going to have to keep an eye on this Lee Dykes thing as well, aren't we?
It's big news.
It's an interesting one.
Yeah.
What would he be coming in as then?
Director of football.
Director of football, wouldn't
Director of football. He'll take over from Hammond. And I mean, that would be massive. But it would take us in the direction of a particular recruitment system that the 49ers are probably going to try and get put into place. It's going to take years, guys, to really see the fruits of the labours. It will, though. I mean, it didn't happen overnight at Brighton. It didn't happen overnight at Brentford. So, and they're 2 models that we all kind of say, oh, my God, that's so good. But yeah, I mean, Fergal's just made a good point there as well. A bit of positivity. I'm guessing that meant positivity. Keep Verba, Drama, James. We have a good chance to go back up. I do think a lot of what Farke is going to be able to achieve this year is going to depend on what he can do with what's already there and how he can kind of turn some of them around. Because some of the players that we have got, I mentioned earlier about Sheffield United, Burnley, having players that can drop down and then, to push us back on. I think Dan James could be massive. I think Verba can be massive. Cooper and Ayling are going to have parts to play. I think there's other players throughout the squad that will Cresswell building into a top-end championship player instead of a player that flirts around, the playoffs like he did with Millwall last season. And then big seasons for JB and, Joffe. I think this is make or break for Joffe. I think it's make or break for Greenwood at Leeds as well. Yeah. We've seen moments, and if he can play in an actual position that he's comfortable with, who knows? He could still be an asset. Premier League is the top of the top. Yeah. So when we're critiquing Sam Greenwood and saying he's shit by the standards of the very best of the best in the Premier League, and he's been asked to play out of position. We've criticised Rodrigo for 2 years for not being able to do it. So why do we think Sam Greenwood would be able to do it? And so who knows? He could play behind the striker next season and be a baller, Sam Greenwood, in the Championship. I'm up for giving him an opportunity. So I think Farke's got the opportunity to really do something with the players that are already there, and we just need some quality. I'd be more than happy with 4 or 5 top signings to go around what we've already got, and I think we'd stand a solid chance.
That's what we need. That's what we need. We need a real injection of quality and try and get it done. Digler, I'm just thankful we do have our good young players coming through right now. Yeah, I mean, that's something to really look for, isn't it? We have got some exciting talent and, fair play to previous regime. That's what they wanted to do. They wanted to flush it with talent, didn't they? Adam Town got the highly rated Mbete from Man City under 23s last season. Yeah, he had an absolute, there was one particular game, Adam, wasn't there, where he was absolute, I think he at fault for a couple of goals, and Steve, who covers Huddersfield Town on our channel, he was going potty at him. I seem to remember.
They're not all going to be good, though. What I mean? Like they've got some quality players in that setup. A couple that I'd be more than happy to have. I don't think some other will be here next season, Adam. With regards to your comment at the bottom there, I just think I think he'll be one on the exit, and I think we can command a fairly decent fee for him. So I think we'll see.
New contract he signed last year, long 4 years or something. So
10 to 15 million quid. I think you'll see him back in Eredivisie, back in Holland.
Could be a good shout. Well, Jason, we'll reconvene at a later date and see if there's been any movement. Things could start to happen fast. That's what we hope anyway, don't we? We hope that it all starts to kind of get going a little bit at least.
Hopefully you're seeing me come back with one of them just catch-up videos because Brownie can't come on, and I have to drop it at 20 minutes notice because we've signed 3 players all at once.
I'll take that. Joe,
however unrealistic.
Come on. Yeah. Play just not a week of nothing, please.
There's going to be a big one in there, right?
There's got to be. Surely they know there's got to be.
There's got to be, and I don't know who it'll be, but even if it's somebody from on the continent, an unknown, and we stick 8 million down for somebody from Belgium, or there's got to be a Nick Hammond signing in there that's going to get us up off the seats. I struggle to believe anything other than that.
Yeah, no, I agree. Guys, thank you very much for your comments. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. If you're not already, please do. Also, like the video as well. We'll be back later on at some point in the week. We'll also hopefully be having a couple of shows for our other teams across the region as well. But I've been Stephen Browne. Thanks very much for watching. Jason, thank you as always. And we shall see you again soon.